So Coffeezilla just made this video called Jordan Belfort Responded. And this video is just absolutely something else. Two things before we start so you understand what's currently going on and gonna happen. First of all, if you are a die-hard Coffeezilla fanboy or stan, maybe this is not exactly the video for you, because while I am not gonna be attacking Coffeezilla or saying bad things about him, this video is not going to be exactly pro-Coffeezilla because, well, to put it bluntly, currently in this day and age, people don't understand what words mean no longer. And there is a lot of misconceptions happening in this video. And that's what we're going to be going over. Now, I'm not going to be attacking Coffeezilla pretty much at all, but this is not going to be exactly a video that elevates Coffeezilla. And I understand that some people have a problem with that. So, you know, if you don't like that, it is what it is. Second of all, I am not a legal lawyer. I am not a practicing lawyer or anything like that. But, well, statement analysis and, you know, understanding words because of my other backgrounds is kind of thing I semi-ish do. So I am better than the average person a little bit at this. I mean, to give you an absolutely marvelous example, here's a quote from the video if you have already seen it. Pro tip, when Coffee has video evidence of your ridiculous quote, do not voluntarily provide more email evidence lying about said quote. And this has 7.3 thousand upvotes. If you have seen the video and you are one of those people who think that this is somehow bad for the Jonathan Belfort guy and good for Coffee, or bad in general, yeah, you are also amongst the people who don't understand how words work and what words mean. Because this is completely irrelevant / completely opposite to the actual facts at hand. And we're going to be going into all of these things. So, I hope you're ready, I hope you understand, because, well, it's going to be a wild ride.
Jordan Belfort has responded to my allegations, and I want to talk about it. Some of you may know Jordan from The Wolf of Wall Street, which is based on his life as a scammer.
Great movie.
More recently, he's in hot water for being involved in another scam, Omega Pro, and having money in a $500 million Ponzi scheme. Now, I reached out to Jordan about this ahead of time, and his team's response was that I was being wildly misleading. So even though it's not a big deal, because he's kind of a small fish in this whole thing, I wanted to settle it, because it's a little...
Okay, so here's the thing, okay? A lot of people don't even would agree with this statement. Wildly misleading. But Coffeezilla's videos are, in general, wildly misleading. I don't think it's possible to go to court and Coffee win by the pretense that his videos aren't wildly misleading. For example, just here, let me demonstrate what the words wildly misleading actually mean for people who do not understand. This video, already in the first 20 seconds, falls 100% under the definition of wildly misleading. And I know that's going to be hard to understand for some people, but let's just see how it is. So first of all, Coffee introduces this person, Jordan Belfort, as the guy who stole literally almost billions from people and had a criminal empire, because that's what Wolf of Wall Street is. Then he says that he is involved now in some kind of Ponzi scheme, and, you know, that may all, by the way, be true, but then we get to this point.
In a 500...
There we go. This is intentionally misrepresenting and mislabeling and mischaracterizing a person right here. Because of all of this context previously, he is setting Jordan Belfort up as this evil person that only knows how to scam, and that's what he has done all his life and is continuing doing. That's the persona he is setting up. And then he just adds this strange cherry on the top, that he has currently 500 million, presumably of his own money, because he's not saying it's of other people. And the context that you understand this 500 million is that he has invested 500 million in a Ponzi scheme, and that's supposed to be bad. You know, because of the context of this, that's supposed to be bad. Him investing 500 million in a proven, not proven, soon to happen Ponzi scheme is not evil, is not bad, is not anything even noteworthy, honestly. If he wants to invest money in a Ponzi scheme, He can freely do it if he wants to do it, okay? And by the way, this 500 million, the way he describes it, only can be understood as his own money that he has decided to put in. So you see, this already perfectly falls under the guise of wildly misleading. Yeah, and this is how this video is gonna go. Now, I'm not gonna nitpick everything, but yeah, Coffeezilla's videos are without any shadow of a doubt mostly absolutely wildly misleading because he does this stuff a lot.
Was that I was being wildly misleading. So even though it's not a big deal because he's kind of a small fish in this whole thing, I wanted to settle it because it's a little bit annoying when people tell me I'm taking them out of context when in fact everything that I'm saying is completely correct. So we will be reading their whole response to me to make sure you get the full context. And I'll warn you in advance, they're gonna try to trick us. Let's start off right from the top.
Obviously,
hi, Jordan. My
by
name
the
is
way.
Coffeezilla. I'm an investigative journalist. I noticed you had a balance of $325,000 with Trader's Domain on September 20th, 2022, via your company, FutureGen LLC, and also participated as a paid spokesman of some kind for Omega Pro, both massive interconnected Ponzi schemes. And they said the following in response: Mr. Belfort is not, nor has ever been, a paid spokesman of Omega Pro. He actually declined their offer. Omega Pro hired Mr. Belfort to speak at 2 of their events about sales and entrepreneurship. I know you're confused. You think maybe I had a stroke. No, I'm reading.
You should not be confused, because if you understand what words mean, there is no contradiction in anything he said.
It exactly how they said it. He says, I've never been hired as a paid spokesman, but I have actually gotten hired twice. Let me explain it to you. Spokesman means you're endorsing the business as a legitimate business, which Mr. Belfort obviously would never do.
So I'm not advising you to go out and find some get-rich-quick scheme, which this is not. It's a legitimate business, okay?
Not understanding how they're saying he's not a paid spokesman here since he was paid and seems to be a spokesman. Either way, they continue. These were 2 of over 150 events that Mr. Belfort spoke at.
I don't agree how he says this, but yes, they can eat this. What they said is completely without any problem here. By the way, again, it's just how words function. There are multiple ways that you can frame those words being said and what they actually mean under the right circumstances. And this is not even uncommon, by the way. This is not semantics, especially in a court of law. This is definitely not even remotely close to a useless semantic.
That year, and he has never had any affiliation with the company and only vaguely knows what they do. And I had to laugh at this part because I'm just thinking to myself, like, yeah, isn't it that funny moment we can all relate to when you're speaking at the biggest event of the year for a company in Panama and you have no idea what they do? Sounds.
It's exactly, for example, how Coffeezilla takes. Does he take sponsorships? Well, I guess in this case, almost all sponsorships most YouTubers take, they don't actually use the product. If you think they use the product, you're just a piece of meat who actually just buys into that. No YouTuber on average uses the product they sponsor. They just take the money. Okay? Every sponsorship deal you say on YouTube is not their actual words. It is literally a list of checkpoints that they must check. Okay? That's how sponsorship deals work. And John Belfort, not knowing about what he's talking about, is the literal equivalent of a YouTube sponsorship deal when someone just, says what they're supposed to say, but they don't actually know the product. They were just paid to say this. And this is how they're gonna get away with saying that Jordan Belfort was not a paid spokesman, because paid spokesman is something different than what he did. You could say that they just paid him money to go out and read a script, and that's pretty much it. And that is not the same as a paid spokesman, as strangely as that is.
When you're speaking at the biggest event of the year for a company in Panama and you have no idea what they do. Sounds really reasonable, guys. Sounds legit. In fact,
by the way, on a personal level, for a dude like Jordan Belfort, yeah, he's just gonna take the bag and he doesn't actually give a shit what you do. He's just gonna do a speech, do a hyped speech, and that's it. There's actually a good chance he legitimately half the time has no idea what he's speaking about. He's just there to create hype.
In fact, during his speech with Omega Pro, he specifically stated that he was not there to speak about their business or making investments, as he was unfamiliar with what they do. Now, it's at this point we're going to have to talk about Jordan's get-rich-quick claims, because that's another part of my question to them. Because in this speech, where he has no idea what the business is, Jordan claims you gotta get rich quick, which, you know, is a bit of a red flag when you're talking about a get-rich-quick scheme.
There's only one way to get rich in this world, and that is quickly. You gotta get rich quick.
Not unsurprisingly, Jordan had an issue with the fact I said I was going to play that clip. His team said in response, "The above quote you provided is wildly misleading, as it is only the first half of the quote. The full quote from the transcript is below, and Mr. Belfort stands by it to this very day." And I'm going to jump to the second half of the quote because you've already read the first part. You got to get rich quick, okay? And the reason for that is because we live in a world that's far too expensive to get rich slowly. You can't get rich slowly over time. Between inflation and currency devaluations and all the hard work, by the time you get rich, it's too late. But I'm not talking about a get-rich-quick scheme. That's not what I mean. I'm not advising you to go out and find some get-rich-quick scheme, which is not a legitimate business.
Okay, so obviously, the average person is gonna find a lot of problems here, but legally, this guy is absolutely rock solid. Most likely, I don't know if there's actually a real liar who would go out and say this. So first of all, the reason why they are providing the full, well, not full as you actually may have already may know, but okay, actually, you know what? Let's go on.
I know what you're thinking. I just got roasted. I thought the same thing. I thought maybe I was wrong about Jordan Belfort. Poor guy is getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to talk about a company he knows nothing about, and he's being criticized for it. I mean, I couldn't believe it. What I'd almost done, because I hadn't made the video yet, mind you. I was requesting for comment, and I was about to apologize when I actually watched the real video and remembered the full quote.
You gotta get rich quick, okay? And the reason for that is because we live in a world that's far too expensive to get rich slowly. You just can't get rich slowly over time between inflation and currency devaluations and all the hard work it takes. By the time you get rich, it's too fucking late. And I will tell you this is a fact. I'm not talking about a get-rich-quick scheme. That's not what I mean. So I'm not advising you to go out and find some get-rich-quick scheme, which this is not. It's a legitimate business, okay?
Did you catch it? Jordan's team has conveniently edited the quote from "I'm not advising you to go out and find some get-rich-quick scheme," which this is not, meaning Omega Pro is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a legitimate business, okay? And they changed it to say this. So I'm not advising you to go out and find some get-rich-quick scheme, which is not a legitimate business. It's a totally different meaning. In one of them, you're endorsing the company. In the real one, you're calling it a legitimate business. In the fake quote that they provided me, all of that context is gone. I wonder why. Maybe it's...
Okay, so a lot of people, this is the part where a lot of people think that, well, Coffee got him. But the reality is he didn't get actually anything. So let's find a place, let's find the full quote. So,
which is...
you need to understand a couple of things that are going on here. First of all, the way that Coffee represented the whole full sentence. He literally, you know, we saw how he did it. And that did not look good at all, right? The reason why his lawyers are showing you the full quote, but not the full quote, and by the way, the fact that they are not actually showing you the full quote, but editing the quote, is completely fine and legally allowed. Because they don't actually need to give you the full quote. You see, in this situation, what matters is what Coffee portrayed a Jordan Belfort to do. And that is essentially... well, it sounded scummy, it sounded scammy, and that's what matters here. That guy's legal team is not obliged, not obligated by any means to actually give you the full 100% quote of what Belfort said. Okay, that's the trick here. They can remove anything they want from this quote. The reason why they are actually keeping all of this is to just is because this would just look in a court of law even worse. Because Coffeezilla has summarized, well, five-line long sentence into pretty much 3 egregiously bad-looking words. Okay, this is just, you know, essentially, well, not semantics, but this is just essentially a look. This is why they're keeping all of this up. The reason why they don't actually have to, they could have easily had left that word in that Coffee said they took out, because it doesn't honestly matter. You know, the fact of the matter is what Coffeezilla portrayed looked schemy and whatnot, but the full context is, and they don't need to provide you the full thing. They can literally just provide you a snippet of him just saying, for example, but I'm not talking about the get-rich-quick scheme. Just providing this much text and evidence would be enough to completely say that everything that he said is absolutely fine, and that Coffee did take him out of context. You need to understand, you don't actually need to do this. Furthermore, if we actually just delve into this into a little bit more deep, one layer more deep, you will know that Coffeezilla considers himself, calls himself an internet investigator, was it? Or an, you know, the guy who does the thing. You know, the guy who does the thing. He's an investigator, he's a reporter or something like that. AKA, these people actually have liberties of taking absolutely everything out of quote and out of context by using semicolons, things like that, double parentheses. You know, reporters have a way that they can pretty much reframe anything you say into anything they want you to have said, as long as there are these words. They can literally take a sentence from one thing you said that happened 3 years ago, and then just, you know, combine it with something you said that, just now, and that's completely legal and completely protected by the law. And Coffeezilla doesn't even do that. He's not using any semicolons, he's not using any of these sleazy tactics. He's just literally blatantly misrepresenting what Belfort said. That's what's happening here, okay? And the fact that they are omitting one part of the text literally, legally does not matter. Pretty brutal. So where were we? I think we were here.
She is not a legitimate business. It's a totally different meaning. In one of them, you're endorsing the company. In the real one, you're calling it a legitimate business.
Yep.
In the fake quote that they provided me, all of that context is gone.
Yep, because they don't want that context in there. And again, they are 100% allowed to do it that way. That's the thing here. They are allowed. There's no law preventing against that. I don't think in a single country there is a law that would prevent them from doing that. Ain't this absolutely... I told you this shit is gonna be wild.
I wonder why. Maybe it's because it shows that Jordan is at least pretending to know what this company does. Because you wouldn't call something a legitimate business if you had no idea what they did, right?
No, you can say that easily. You know, it hasn't go. You can literally look at a drug den and without irony. No, wait, not a drug den, but a Mexican cartel, and without absolutely any remorse say, yeah, that's a legitimate business. What do you mean it's not? It's out in the open. No one's arrested. It's literally right there. The police know about it, but nothing's being done. Of course they're a legitimate business. If they weren't, they would have been already arrested. Yeah, you see how that works? You can be... People think saying defamatory statements is like super easy. It's not. It is really not. You can call almost anything a legitimate business because it depends on how you contextualize these things. And John Belfort can easily contextualize, well, they paid me way more money than anyone else. There's no way an illegal business out in the open could afford to pay me this much without, the feds completely busting them. The perfect defense. Literally unbreakable, in fact.
Also left out another part, where Jordan tells the crowd, it's great that you all believe in Omega Pro, but don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't second guess it.
Just look f***ing around you. Who can smell money? Can you smell the money? Yes. Ladder, can you smell it? Yes.
What a sleazeball.
Why is that? Why is that? Why is it that within this room right now, there is so much success, so much money being made? Why? Why is that? Well, a couple of things. Number one, there's a lot of belief in the room.
And by the way, again, none of that matters because you can always feign ignorance in these things.
all believe in what you're doing. You believe in the cause. You've been making money yourselves. You've been able to convince others to do the same, to join up and to make money, right? That's what's going on here. So there's belief. But I will tell you this. There's an old saying that we have in English. And that saying goes, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Meaning these types of moments in each one of your lives, they don't come along that often. They just don't.
I'm pretty sure the real saying translates to roughly something like, hey, if something lucky happens, don't question it, just roll with it.
This is insane. In fact, you could replace Omega Pro with literally any penny stock that Jordan was selling back in the day that he got arrested, and it feels like the same thing. The whole thing about like, there's so much money here. You believe. This is an incredible opportunity, but just don't look at it too closely. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It's barely going to come back again. It's once in a lifetime. This is the same thing. It's the same scam. Just a new way to do it, right? It's just not penny stocks. It's this Omega Pro nonsense. And they had the audacity to leave that quote out, twist another quote, and then try to, get me to walk back what I was going to say? Now, finally, we're going to get to the last claim of mine, which is that Jordan had money locked in Trader's Domain, which once again, they told me that I was being wildly misleading about. But then they said this: as far as Trader's Domain goes, Mr. Belfort has no knowledge of Trader's Domain or any link that they may have had with Omega Pro, other than that a very close friend of his said that he was making a lot of money with a managed account, and he convinced Mr. Belfort to give this money manager a shot. So Mr. Belfort made a small speculative investment there of approximately $200,000.
Small, yeah, small.
Small investment of $200,000? Who in their right mind? Look, bear in mind, this guy is like a scam professional, right? He did it for years. He then puts money in a thing that seems too good to be true, offshore Forex brokerage with zero research. Like, we're supposed to believe that?
Yes, actually, that is probably the most believable thing in all of this, because people of incredible caliber success in certain fields have one thing always in common. This is human psychology, okay? Scammers. There's no such thing as a successful scammer that is gonna believe that he can get scammed, okay? There do not exist scammers in this world that have been successful, especially at Belfort's level, who believe that they can get scammed. There's no scamming these scammers, okay? Now, that really does happen, but these people are literally incapable of believing that they can be scammed, okay? So this is actually wildly 100% statistically inaccurate, like, for example, people who understand maths are never gonna, when confronted with a basic thing, are never gonna admit their fault, even if they were incorrect most of the time, because they're big at that. That's what they do. No one who is a professional in that field is gonna believe that someone is gonna outclass them. And this is that situation. It's completely human basics 101. So this is, ironically, the most believable part of his sentence.
I mean, personally, I don't believe it. That Jordan Belfort is looking at this thing that looks like probably what he used to sell and goes, yeah, this seems like a good opportunity. According to them, quote, after a few months of seeing profits, Mr. Belfort felt that it was too good to be true and requested his money back. That's when the problem started. It took many months and constant legal threats to get back his original investment, which he eventually got back with a small profit. So he did make money. What are we wrong about? It's so funny. Like, they claimed I was being wildly misleading, but both of the things I'm alleging here, that he was publicly speaking for a get-rich-quick scheme and seeming to pitch it, basically, that's true.
Ooh, you called him a spokesman. You just can't say... You need to stick with the word spokesman, as you were already going with that. You can't just now twist the words, because, again, words have meaning, and now he's literally backtracking to what he said on a completely legal basis.
True. He also had money in Trader's Domain. Also true. He apparently made money with it, which we didn't even know.
Yes, which you pretty much, without any shadow of a real doubt, tried to recontextualize as this absolutely scammy thing. By the way, John Belfort is doing the thing that I am considering doing. Because these... Actually, I shouldn't probably say this, but yeah, it makes sense that he did make money. It makes 100% sense that he made money, because he understands how scams work, okay? He knew he's gonna make money, because it's in... Okay, so let me essentially... I'll explain this briefly. Modern-day pyramid scams actually reward and give money out to the people who got in early, because there's way more money 3 months down the line, okay? and people who get in early enough do get rewarded. That's the non-financial advice here. This is what Belfort understood, and this is what Belfort most likely 100% took advantage of. He understood if he puts his money in fast enough, that he is going to get that return on investment. You know, that he is going to make some money back. Because everyone is continuing to keep their money in because they are being lied to that they are making, oh, so much money, you know? That's what's happening.
But also, we have to seriously interrogate whether Jordan knew nothing about Trader's Domain, just like we had to with Omega Pro, because they then say, quote, he then closed his account and that was that. He would be willing to discuss off the record more of what he suspects is happening there, as some of his friends were convinced to open up an account there by the same person, never got their money back. And just to be clear, despite this managed account offering Mr. Belfort a 10% override in any money he could bring in, he never recommended it to any other person because from the very beginning, he always considered it a speculative investment and had done no due diligence. Rather, he made the investment based on the word of a friend. Let me get this straight. Jordan knows nothing about Trader's Domain, no due diligence. But if we talk off the record so that I can't say what he says, he's claiming he's going to explain what's happening. Are you kidding? Hey, listen.
Yes. I literally see and don't understand where the, I'm not gonna, Coffeezilla is not being bad faith here. He just literally doesn't understand the words that are being said. Let me explain to what is being said here. That guy got in, he didn't do his research, he probably thought it's most likely instantaneously a Ponzi scheme. He thought that if he stays there like a month or two, he's most likely going to make a slight profit, and that's absolutely fine, why not? And then closes his account, and that was that. This is completely normal. This is almost impossible, by the way, to prove incorrect. He would be willing to discuss off the record more of what he suspects is happening there. So, yeah, he puts his money in. He doesn't really 100% understand what's going on here. Maybe it looks like a scheme, maybe it doesn't. We literally cannot get in his brain and question this. It's legally impossible, okay? Then he goes out because it looks too good to be true, which is most likely undoubtedly true, by the way. And then he is willing to discuss off record more what he suspects is happening there. So there is no misconception. There is no nothing wrong in what. There's no statement that goes against any other statement made here. This is what you need to understand about this small tidbit right here. He went in, then he went out, and he went out because he thought it's too good to be true. He is willing to go off record, meaning that if Coffeezilla decides to make a video about that stuff, and by the way, Belfort's no idiot. He most likely is trying to use this as bait, that Coffeezilla gets in with him a call. He actually tells him the full story that he thinks that Trader's Domain, whatever platform it was all the things that he thinks are currently happening there, and Coffee softens up to him and doesn't go investigate him further or bring more attention to him, because Belfort obviously doesn't want that attention, okay? So there's absolutely no contradiction here. And then he wants this to be off the record, aka he cannot be used as a source if Coffee is making a video, and because that makes him liable for suing, for slandering a 100% legitimate company. And it doesn't matter if it's not a 100% legitimate company, the lawsuit still works exactly that way. So there's absolutely no contradiction here. I don't understand what he's finding funny. He just doesn't understand how words work here.
If we talk off the record so that I can't say what he says, he's claiming he's going to explain what's happening. Are you kidding? Hey, listen, I know nothing about this, but if we go behind closed doors, I'll explain the whole thing.
Yeah, because it's speculation. It's wild speculation, and he said it's too good to be true. Most likely anything he would tell Coffee would pretty much be grounds for a lawsuit. That's the... I don't even know what the question here. So yeah, as you can see, this video was pretty wild. I'm not even sure if there's point in watching the rest of it is, but whatever.
That doesn't make any sense. Well, that's nonsense. I mean, look, this whole thing is ridiculous. And of course, the reason I'm talking about this is not because Jordan was like the big player in all this. He was not by a long shot. I only bring up his response as an exemplary way that these influencers and speakers, they just want to have it both ways. Look, they want to make all the money when they speak, right? All the money.
True.
Wild speaking fees of hundreds of thousands of dollars a post. And then when it all goes wrong, they want to
No liability.
be held to zero accountability. Or to put it another way, they don't want you to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah, but that's the thing. At least Jordan Belfort has all the deniability in the world. He went to prison for this crap, okay? He was wildly successful, then he went to prison. Like, he knows how to cover himself. And he has done a very good job here. Okay, in any case, I hope you understood this. This is not the easiest subject to crunch. This is not the easiest thing to understand. So hopefully you understood something. And, you know, that's pretty much it. Anyway, this was Coffeezilla. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And have a nice day. Bye-bye.